Well, I had 3 or 4 different rates in the line, but I was a specialist in electronics.
Okay.
I went in 1942, and I was come out at like December of 45. When I signed up, it was like 2 years or duration. And the duration, whenever the war was over, why I was discharged. I played it day by day, and nothing special. Just every day, whatever. That wasn't, I was in no battles, air raids, few. And my job was, it was like, I don't know how to say it. Well, actually, it was top secret. And I couldn't divulge it to anybody, and there was no medals involved or nothing. It was very, very, well, like I said, top secret. I couldn't talk about it, and I worked in the Central Pacific, Japan, or that area, and that was it. When I first went in, it was I was school in electronics, and whenever they signed me up, they gave me a rating of 2. I didn't go to boot camp, and they shipped me out to, well, I went to school for radar. I was a teacher for 3 or 4 months in radar, and then they sent me to supersonic sound, and that was the what I was, how I said, that was a top secret. It was supersonic sound, and I couldn't divulge anything that I did with what I had to do. I had to keep quiet.
Well, the war was coming on, they were drafting people. Well, here was my chance. I decided, I enlisted in the Army Air Corps. And I wanted to be a pilot, but I didn't know, you don't know what you're going to be, because they give you tests. They decide what school you're going to go to. I enlisted June 22nd, 1942. I served at Pine Bluff, Arkansas, in primary school. Basic training was Coffeyville, Kansas. Eldest, Oklahoma was 2 engines, and San Antonio, Texas was 4 engines. So I had to go through all of them. I'm not the kind of guy that keeps medals. I got them. I couldn't tell you, I'd have to go look through all my papers. I couldn't find them quickly enough. But I do have a lot of medals. You know, I was POW, pretty much different. I was in the 15th Air Force, flew out of Italy, Foggia, Italy, and I do have quite a number of medals, but I'm not like the generals that have all their stars on their. I never even made a difference to me. Anyway, I have them. I was in Foggia, Italy, near Cerignola, Italy. We lived in tents. The 15th Air Force. when well, anyway, I flew out of Foggia, Italy, and this one day, it's just like the movies. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you get briefed. All the officers there say, big map say, you're going here today, you're going here today, it's dangerous, the flak is heavy. Anyway, when I went to the runway, my engineer had all his parachutes jumped on top of each other, and I said, get off of them. We may need them someday. We did, we needed them that day. But we never jumped before, never practiced, nothing. All of us, 10 got out. 10 guys on the airplane. Then when I got into the ground, I got knocked around a little bit. We were bombing Ploesti, not Ploesti, the Hungarian train stations. That's what I had just dropped the bombs and got hit by anti-aircraft. This is the B-17, mostly used in Europe, England. This is the B-24. The B-24 was bigger, carried more bombs, but it wasn't as well known as the B-17s because that was when they attacked Britain and they were bombing Germany, they used the B-17s. But then this was a newer plane here that I flew. My son used on Westmoreland Pool out here. Okay. And one of the, I never had any grandkids, so I took him over to the county airport in 1992 to show him how big the airplane was when you're standing by it. There's 4 engines, that's how big it was. That's only one of the 4. That's he and I standing under it. That's why I learned to fly. I only had 1 year of college before I went in the service. And what I was going to do, I thought I'd come back and finish school and go to law school. But like a lot of young guys, I came back, I graduated from Pitt, then I got married and I had to get a job. So I never got to be a lawyer. I've been on council since 1970 though. I was either a council member or a mayor. But so I've been on a long time, since 1970, but since 1986 I've been mayor. There's so many things happened, and my brain gets nuts. You're dumb here. I'll tell you, okay, when you go on a mission, you want me to tell you, describe you that one, get the bombs are loaded on the airplane. Then you get your parachutes and you put them on. Get in the airplane, and they're all taken off. To form a big group of airplanes, stacked different rates like that. Now, if you're lucky, the fighters don't hit you. I was unlucky that anti-aircraft hit you. But see what they did. I don't know whether you thought they aimed at you. They don't aim at you. You got 300-400 planes going right over the target. All they got to do is shoot like a bunch of pigeons, just fly. You hit somebody. So my first time I got shot down. First time I ever used a parachute. Never before. The other pilot and I, we got out. They all got out, but I didn't see them all because my airplane was still stable enough, and as they jumped, you didn't land in the same spot. Then I was found. You first got shot down as civilians. I was July the 2nd, 1944. Yeah. The civilians got me, about 50 civilians, and they had about 5 American members of different crews, and they spit on you and kicked it and all that stuff. You know, that's you can't fight back. What are you going to do? We used to carry a 45. They told us, don't carry any more weapons. If you get shot down, you're dead for sure. If they see you with a gun, they're going to shoot you. Anyway, then I was taken to Budapest prison, actual prison, first time I ever saw bed bugs, dirty. Then I was moved to Stalingrad 3. It's between Stalingrad 3 is between Breslau and Berlin. I got a map for you to show you. And you had barracks, but not much food. The barracks were on posts. Had 15 guys to a room. This is where the Germans looked upon pilots and Air Force people a little differently than anybody else. They treated us a little better. I didn't have to work, but we didn't get much food. When I first got into camp, a couple of the older guys says, "Don't think you're going to escape from here," because they just had killed 38 guys that got out of camp. But you couldn't get out of camp unless you had organized. It was organized. Okay. Stalingrad 3 was a flat piece of ground. They had these towers with the guards on them. We called them goon boxes. There was a double wire where they were at, and all filled with wire, and then there was another wire, low one, don't cross that. But at night they left the dogs loose. The guards would go with their dogs under the barracks, so you couldn't dig holes or anything. Now, as far as eating, we ate a lot of kohlrabi, blood sausage from the Germans. Some red Kars parcels came from the United States, but they were boxed in Canada. And what it would have in a little box about this big, and it have some, they called it clim, it was powdered milk, they called it clim. Some hard, some jelly and stuff like that. So what we would do, we appointed 2 guys out of the 15th. You take all this food and you make something out of it. So what they did, they dumped all the cans together and mixed it all up. We called them Godoyins. I don't know how we ever got that word. Anyway, little things, you think, well, how did you cook them? I could be here for hours. I'm going to bore the hell out of you. When we would get cans, any kind of cans from the United States, we weren't allowed to have any tools. We had like picnic tables and like a butter knife. We'd get the ends off of a can and take the seam off, put in between the cracks and cut it like that. Then we'd make seams and make pots and pans out of it. Well, I got to be able to do that. The guy who did that was called a tin basher. I couldn't make too many because it took too long to make them, you know, and you didn't get enough cans. We had a little stove in the corner, not very big, and we didn't get much fuel. So what we would do, we'd get up in the rafters and cut woods off the rafters and make a fire. But it got to be that each individual guy wanted to make his own thing. So what we did is this. Do you know what a slat looks in a bed? It's only about this long. You lay in it in bed. You have a bunch of slats, pieces of wood. Well, we would trim those off and use them, but the trouble is if you used all your slats, you'd fall through the thing. So we started making little the word was blowjobs, that's what we called them. What this is the slat. Okay. We'd make a little square box at the end of here. We'd get another can and put little valves in it so what we would do, we'd get our shoestrings, we'd have a handle, we'd pull this would blow air under there, we'd have a little something on top of here trying to cook it. This is what it looked like. I never draw 3 dimensions, it's just a flat. But you can see this is a little square box. This is the big flat wheel we got out of the wood we made. Then we got the tin can and made little paddles in there that when we turned the paddles, it would blow air under here. It was like, you know, and if we had anything that we could cook, it wasn't very often, but we did have some potatoes once in a while, or tea or hot water.